Dia Yves Macarja Gale. As is said in Irish, God be with my Irish friends. Friendly sons and guests, it is with great pride that I welcome you to the 115th virtual annual celebration of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County. In now long-standing tradition, we march into the evening led by the Greater Scranton Black Diamonds Pipe Band. Tonight is the 22nd year that the Black Diamonds have led the way. If they don't get you in the Irish spirit, then I don't know what will. I would like to take a moment and recognize and thank our flag bearers, Johnny Hegarty, Liam Hegarty, Chase Scanlon, and Alex Scanlon. Boys, thank you very much for your service tonight. Great job. And next, I would like to call on another group of fine young men to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. With us tonight are Brian Bell III, Peter Bowles, and Bobby Hoban. Gentlemen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, fellas. Great job. The future of the Friendly Sons is secure in the hands of these fine young gentlemen. It is my pleasure to now introduce our vocalist as he sings America the Beautiful. Mr. Shawn Klush is a celebrity recognized worldwide, who is, in fact, as deemed by Elvis Presley Enterprises, the ultimate Elvis tribute artist. He has performed on The Late Show with David Letterman. The BBC labeled him World Greatest Elvis. In Las Vegas, he is described as the worldwide ambassador of Elvis. His performances have been featured on HBO and VH1. All this from a man born and raised in Pittston, Pennsylvania. He is, in fact, a native son. I give you Shawn Klush and America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and He crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining.
Thank you, Shawn. That truly was beautiful. Friendly sons, family, and guests, tonight, despite the unprecedented turmoil of the past year, the great tradition of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County continues. In this, our 116th year, we gather in celebration for the 115th time on the feast of our patron, St. Patrick. We are gathering virtually, but my hope is that each one of you, whether at home alone or gathered with other friendly sons and family, feel the Irish spirit and camaraderie of the evening. We are all in this together. Now, within our virtual context, I'd like to check in with a group of friendly sons gathered out in the Greenridge section of Scranton. I hope responsibly gathered. But now we're going to go out to the home of Matthew Haggerty. Hey, Matthew.
Mr. President, how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you. We're doing great. Who do you have there with you?
Well, I have my two brothers, Jimmy and Daniel, J.P. Sweeney, my cousin John Haggerty, and my nephew Jimmy McGrath, and several young, many fifth-generation members of the Friendly Sons or future members of the Friendly Sons.
And I see a nice addition of the tricolors in the background as well.
Yes, we have a couple of flag bearers here in the back as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's great seeing you guys. I wanted to show the world that there really were live Friendly Sons out there participating in tonight's event.
Yeah, well, we're off to a great start.
Thanks a lot. What do you have planned? What are you serving there tonight?
Well, very stereotypically, we've got a couple of six-packs of Guinness. Our friend J.P. Sweeney has stayed true to course and is on the Heineken Lights, but we might have a little Redbreast going here a little later, too. We're waiting to get halfway through the program.
Well, very nice, very nice. I know you are aware of the lineup that we have tonight. I think you're in store for a good one.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I just want to say, David, we all wanted to say congratulations on a tremendous amount of work. Nobody ever saw this coming a year and a half ago when you started your preparation for the dinner, and what you did for the Friendly Sons. We owe you a debt of gratitude, and we're really excited for tonight. Congratulations to Ward, and congratulations to Mike Cosgrove, who will be taking over at the end of tonight's festivities. So it's a really great night for the FitzPatricks.
Well, thank you, Matthew. No debt is needed, that's for sure. I want you guys to enjoy the program, relax, and just remember next year we really are going to be gathered together.
Great. And if I could, David, real quick, we all think about our dads and having them with us tonight. And I know we're thinking of Fitzy tonight, but in a special way, I'd like to remember John Elliott, the great lawyer from Philadelphia who passed away on Saturday. John was a huge supporter of the Friendly Sons, had 2 tables at every dinner and brought a bus up every year. He was also a huge Notre Dame fan. And he proudly considered himself a son of the anthracite coal region out of Schuylkill County. And he's going to be buried down in Shenandoah on Friday. So we wanted to remember him tonight, because if we were all together, we certainly would be raising a glass to John Elliott tonight.
Yeah, Matthew, thanks for that. He truly was a friend of the Friendly Sons. So again, have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
What do you say, boys?
Bye.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks, Fitz.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Cheers.
Well, I'm glad to see they're having fun out on Columbia Street. In what is an historic start to our evening, I would like to welcome the first woman mayor of the city of Scranton, the Honorable Paige Gebhardt Cognetti, who will offer opening remarks. Mayor Cognetti.
Good evening. My name is Paige Gebhardt Cognetti. I'm the mayor of Scranton, and I have been waiting for this moment for quite some time, although I truly, truly wish that it was over cocktails in person. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you all sincerely for having me join you. Thank you to Dr. FitzPatrick, who had invited me last year, and to the entire committee for being so cautious and so graceful as we have gone through this pandemic, sadly, both last year and again this year, not being able to have the dinner in person. I cannot express enough how this community has come together in this last year. It really started off with the parade committee last year, knowing that they had to do the tough thing and make the call to cancel the parade. I remember standing up with them as we canceled in March of last year. I can't believe it's been a year since then. And truly, the spirit of Scranton and Northeastern Pennsylvania has come through as we've tried to protect each other, as we really have protected each other by wearing masks, keeping distance, helping each other's nonprofits, each other's businesses, trying to keep everybody afloat, helping out as kids have been home at school and people have been trying to balance their families, balance their jobs and their entire lives. So it's been a lot. I can't wait until next year when we can all be in person. We can toast together. I will say I have a Guinness nearly every night. That's my treat when I get home from my long days as mayor. And I really, truly can't wait to celebrate with all of you as we come through this next year. But as it stands, we're still in this thing. I hope that those of you who are eligible have gotten your vaccines, that those of you who are waiting, that we will have a better rollout of the vaccine here in the few months. And hopefully we'll be able to get together before next St. Patrick's Day again and celebrate. And truly, I can't thank this community enough. I can't thank all of you enough for your leadership, especially Dr. FitzPatrick. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hopefully we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for all that you are doing for our city. For the Diocese of Scranton, Bishop Joseph Bambera is our spiritual leader. For the Friendly Sons, he in fact has been our most supportive ally. Bishop Bambera was installed as the 10th Bishop of Scranton on April 26, 2010, after his appointment by Pope Benedict XVI. Tonight, he is gracing our celebration with the invocation. Bishop Bambera.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. O good and gracious God, we gather with grateful hearts this night as we call upon your presence and ask that you preserve us in your grace. As we celebrate the blessings that you have given to our church and our world in the gift of Patrick, your servant and saint, we pray that we may live in the spirit of the word that he preached and the gospel he lived. We implore you in our patron's name, O God, during these challenging days in which our world has been enveloped by sickness, pain, and suffering, and so much uncertainty, that you sustain through your love and mercy all those who suffer from the coronavirus, all who serve us in our need, and all who grieve the loss of those they love. Like Patrick, keep us always grateful for the gift of life, from the moment in which you first breathe into our hearts as we prepare to be born, to the day on which you close our eyes and lead us home. Help us always to treasure and respect that which is made in your image and likeness, especially as we see your presence in the face of innocents who have been victimized, immigrants, the poor, the homeless, and the hungry. We offer thanks as well, O God, for our country, this land of hope and freedom. We particularly offer our gratitude this night for those who serve to keep us safe from those who disrupt the work of justice and peace in foreign lands and, sadly, in our own. Finally, O God, we ask your blessing upon this gathering of the friendly sons of St. Patrick and all the good that they endeavor to do in your name and in the name of your son, Patrick. We make this prayer as always, through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Bambera. I would like to mention the names of two of our society's past presidents who have died in the past 2 years, both of whom were pillars of our community and true gentlemen. I'm speaking of the Honorable James J. Walsh, President in 1980, and the Honorable James M. Munley, President in 1985. In addition, I would like for us to remember Father Scott Pillars, S.J., President of the University of Scranton, who died just last week. Father Pillars was a great friend of the Friendly Sons. I would ask everyone to bow their heads in a moment of prayer for these three gentlemen and all Friendly Sons who have passed since our last gathering. Thank you. Now, let's take a little trip down memory lane. With that, I mean recognizing the 25th anniversary dinner. Specifically, I'm talking about 25 years prior to March 2020, which was the dinner on March 17th, 1995. President that year was then attorney Terrence R. Nealon. His toastmaster was his brother Thomas Nealon. The clerical speaker was Bishop Eamon Walsh, who was Archbishop of Dublin. His lay speaker was noted Irish author and broadcaster Tim Pat Coogan. Of note, the President's Award went to Ron L. Paulus Jr., ultimately of Notre Dame. Hey, Coach Kelly, does that name ring a bell? So now let's get out to the home of now Judge Terrence Nealon. Hey, Terry, congratulations on this anniversary award.
Thank you, Dave, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks. It's great to see you all. You all look great. Who do you have there with you?
Well, I'm here with my wife, Lisa, my sons, Terry and Timmy, who were both my flag bearers back in 1995 at my dinner, my brother, Tommy, who was my Toastmaster, and my daughter-in-law, Mary Elizabeth.
Well, you guys look fantastic. I realize there's a bit of irony this year that your President's Award went to a Notre Dame guy, and here we have Coach Kelly joining us this evening.
Yes, and Ron had just finished his freshman season at Notre Dame at the time, and now is the assistant athletics director at Notre Dame. And his son, who just is a senior in high school, accepted a football scholarship to Notre Dame and will be playing for them next year. But Ron wasn't the first or only association between Notre Dame football and the Friendly Sons. And the year before my dinner, the President's Award was presented to Lackawanna County's own Tim Ruddy, who had just finished his All-American senior season at Notre Dame and was about to embark on his Pro Bowl career with the Miami Dolphins. And my father's dinner on March 17th, 1964, and I have the program here as proof, is best remembered for being the dinner that featured Attorney General Robert Kennedy in one of his first public speaking appearances following the assassination of President Kennedy. But also on his program that night was a Scrantonian by the name of Jim Crowley, who just happened to be one of the four horsemen from the legendary backfield for the Notre Dame football program in the 1920s. So the Friendly Sons have a long history with Notre Dame football. And of course, you continue that history tonight with Coach Kelly.
Well, you know, those facts are something, and we really do have quite a history. We got to move on now. It's great seeing you all, but I'm going to ask the judge if he wouldn't offer a bit of a toast to all his brethren Friendly Sons out there in YouTube land.
Sure. I'd like to wish a happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone and to propose a toast. And the person that I would like to propose a toast to tonight is you, Dave FitzPatrick, because nobody worked harder during the course of their presidency of the Friendly Sons. No one devoted more time and effort than you did. You started your presidency by actually going over to Ireland, attempting to recruit some participants. And during the course of it, you had to deal with a pandemic and some medical challenges of your own, and you persevered and came through it all and have put together what I think is one of the best dinners that the Friendly Sons have ever had in their 115-year history. So to you, I say thank you on behalf of everyone who's viewing tonight, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Sláinte.
Sláinte. Terry, thank you. Your words are too kind, and best to all the Nealons. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. Before I offer some remarks of my own, I'm going to ask everyone to grab an appropriate glass and join me in a few toasts. I have selected a nice glass of Guinness. To the President of the United States of America, our own native son, Joseph Biden, Sláinte. To the President of Ireland, Michael Higgins, Sláinte. To the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Thomas Wolfe, Sláinte. Your Excellency Bishop Bambera, Your Excellency Bishop Reed, Ambassador Mulhall, Coach Brian Kelly, Mayor Cognetti, and friendly sons all, I again welcome you to the 115th Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County virtual annual St. Patrick's Day celebration. I want to tell you in all sincerity that it has been one of the great honors and pleasures of my life to serve as your president over the past year. Make that the past 2 years. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the opportunity. On a very personal level, most of you know that I have had a medical issue to deal with over the past year. Know that your ongoing confidence in me, your thoughts, and your prayers have buoyed me and have been a life-saving outlet. I have been so touched. I consider myself an incredibly fortunate man. There is a necessity to acknowledge the tremendous efforts of so many people who have helped to pull off an event such as this. The problem I have is that time will not allow to mention everyone who should be publicly thanked. However, there are a few individuals whose names demand my formal recognition. Tim Prile, our historian, Shane Shanley, Monsignor Joe Quinn, our chaplain, Pat Sheridan, David Conroy, Joe Kelly, Harry McGrath, our treasurer, Gene Cosgrove, Duke Doherty. There are many more, many more. But I certainly would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my beautiful wife, Mary, and our children, Christine, Tommy, and Megan, for putting up with me in this process, as well as lending support on so many levels. Thank you, gang. I love you. Thanks are also in store for my additional officers, Vice President Attorney Mike Cosgrove, Vice President-elect Al O'Donnell, Treasurer Attorney Harry McGrath, Assistant Treasurer Bill Dempsey, Secretary Attorney Terry Nealon, Jr., and Assistant Secretary Attorney Tim Maloney. Now, I would like to stand here and tell the FitzPatrick story, but I'm going to spare you all that. Instead, I'm simply going to make a declaration that tonight's program is dedicated to my late father, Thomas F. FitzPatrick, as well as the late James Howley. These two proud, friendly sons, together with their spouses Joan Ward FitzPatrick and Mary McDade Howley, shared a unique and deep lifelong bond and friendship. So, in following the grand purpose of this great society of ours, which is to foster the generational aspect of the Friendly Sons, I would like to honor this dedication by simply recognizing my father's blood legacy, his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. This in addition to Jim's daughter, Mara. So therefore, I'm going to ask you to bear with me as I publicly announce a roll call of my father's legacy. His grandchildren: Brian Grady, Tom Grady, Ryan FitzPatrick, Sheila Grady, Joe FitzPatrick, Catherine FitzPatrick, Maureen Grady, Matt FitzPatrick, Ellen FitzPatrick, Jimmy FitzPatrick, Peter FitzPatrick, Jack Grady, Colin FitzPatrick, Christine FitzPatrick, Tommy FitzPatrick, Megan FitzPatrick. His great-grandchildren: Fiona Grady, Declan Grady, Imogene Grady, Louisa FitzPatrick, Maeve Rotans, Kane FitzPatrick, Arthur FitzPatrick, and Ada Grady. Thank you for that indulgence. I know that any friendly son would love to have a legacy like that, and moreover, I know that my father is looking down tonight with a very broad smile. Now, as we recognize the 25th anniversary dinner from 2020, we must now recognize the 25th anniversary for 2021. And that would be March 17th, 1996. President that year was attorney James Duke Doherty. His Toastmaster was brother Chris Doherty, future mayor of Scranton. clerical speaker was the Reverend Gerard Reedy, S.J., who was president of the College of the Holy Cross. And his lay speaker was Jerry Adams, leader of Sinn Féin. President's Award that night went to Governor Robert P. Casey. That was quite a memorable night. So now we're going to go out to North Washington Avenue in the Greenridge section of Scranton and visit with Duke and his family. Hey, Duke.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
We're great. Hey,
Looks like
congratulations.
It's gonna be a great night.
Thank you. Congratulations on your award. Who do you have with you tonight?
So I got my brothers, Tim, Chris, Tom, my sons, Jim, Pat, Jack, and my 3 grandsons, Jim, Henry, Ben, and my son-in-law, Tom Hildebrand, and my 2 nephews, Tommy and Packy Doherty.
Well, I'll tell you, you are a good-looking group, and it's great to see you, even though it's virtually. I want to ask you a minute about your dinner, going back now 25 years. That was quite an accomplishment, quite a coup to get Jerry Adams to come to Scranton to speak, especially when you think of the context of the year and what was going on in Northern Ireland at that time. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, Dave. It was a great program and a great dinner. As you said, Father Reedy did a great job. He was the president of Holy Cross, and he gave a great talk about the importance of the Catholic Church and Irish Americans and how they played off each other to make each other a better group. And I was honored to give the President's Award to Governor Casey. And it was the first time he received our society's President's Award. And that was, for me, a very great thing because he was such an outstanding man and such a great influence on our community. And after he spoke, Jerry Adams leaned over and he had a typed speech ready to read. And he says, I'm not giving it. He said, give this to your boys. He then stood up and spoke for 45 minutes. There were 7 standing ovations for him. His speech was electrifying and spellbound. And we were extremely lucky to get him. In fact, his visa at that time only allowed him to be in Washington, D.C., New York City for the parade, and here in Scranton.
Wow.
And my brothers Tom and Tim drove down to pick him up at the end of the parade. And he was being, I guess, protected by the Irish Emerald Society from the New York City Police Department. And he was in a van that Tom and Chris had, or Tom and Tim had. And as he's going over the George Washington Bridge, a vehicle got in between Jerry's vehicle where my brothers were and the 2 New York City police vehicles. And they didn't know who it was. They literally pushed that guy's car right off, not off the bridge, but right against the wall of the bridge. And Jerry Adams, we were just fortunate and lucky to have him. And he was an outstanding speaker. And I think he brought tremendous pride to Lackawanna County, to the folks at our society. And he just made us all understand the importance and why we have to keep fighting for a united and free Ireland. I've kept up contact with him over the years, and he has such fond memories of the folks here in Lackawanna County and his experience. And I think it's been a credit to our society and to everyone in Lackawanna County that we had the opportunity for him to speak. Because, as I said, he was only allowed under his visa to 3 places in the United States: Washington, New York, and Scranton, Pennsylvania.
That's amazing.
And so it was
listen,
a great dinner, and I'm so honored. But I want to say one personal mark to you, Dave. I was able to be elected president of the Friendly Sons because of the efforts of my father-in-law, Judge Richard P. Conboy, and my mentor, Jim Howley. And you have a special connection with Jim Howley as well. He looked on you and Kevin and Ward and Susie as his own children. And I can promise you today, he is so proud of you. In fact, I believe tonight he's raising one of my arms and one of your arms as celebration and in gratitude that here we are to the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. And St. Patrick, you make sure David has a great dinner. He's a kindred spirit to you and I, and to the Dohertys and the FitzPatricks. And this means a lot that I'm getting my 25th presidential award from you. So you have a great dinner, Dave. And as from all the Dohertys to all the FitzPatricks and to every member of the Friendly Sons, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you, guys. I couldn't agree more, Duke, and I appreciate everything. I want you all to have a wonderful night. Enjoy the evening. Shlante. You know, one of the wonderful traditions of our society, which in fact has held with some consistency over the years, is that the Toastmaster duties for a given president's dinner are performed by the brother of the president. Well, this year is no exception, and I am thrilled to be able to maintain that tradition and introduce my big brother as the Toastmaster for tonight's Friendly Sons of St. Patrick Day celebration. That said, this year's Toastmaster duties are certainly not the ordinary. So let me back up a little bit. I have a great brother-in-law, Dr. Patrick Grady, who is married to my sister Susan, and I have two awesome brothers, Kevin and Ward. Any one of this group, I'm sure, would have relished the opportunity to stand in front of you at this podium. But for this year's event, it was J. Ward FitzPatrick, D.D.S., who got the proverbial short straw in order to help out yours truly, his little brother. Ward is the third child of Thomas and Joan FitzPatrick. Ward has always been the big guy in our family, both literally and figuratively. With his height in tow and his gregarious and friendly personality, Ward has been a stalwart of our local community throughout his life. Ward attended Scranton Preparatory School and went on to the College of the Holy Cross, where he was co-captain of the basketball team. He played on 2 NIT tournament teams and 1 NCAA tournament team. He was the recipient of the school's first Cooney Award for excellence in scholarship and athletics. Ward went on to Georgetown University Dental School, then a dental residency and fellowship in periodontology from Harvard School of Dental Medicine. He practiced clinical periodontics in northeastern Pennsylvania for over 30 years. He is a past president of the Country Club of Scranton. For years, he was a fixture in local basketball gyms watching his children's countless games. He has 4 children and 1 new grandson. He has recently retired with his wife Bridget to Lewis, Delaware. His current life diversions are scuba diving and his motor scooter, if you can picture that. So now, with love, I hand off the podium to my big brother, Ward. It's all yours.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you, Dave. That was nice. On behalf of my mother, Joan Ward FitzPatrick, my sister, Susan Grady, my brothers, Kevin and David, my wife, Bridget, and our children, Joseph, Matthew, Ellen, and James, their spouses and significant others, my many nieces and nephews and their families, and in particular, the newest additions to the family, a great niece, Ada Rose Grady, and our grandson, Arthur Ward FitzPatrick. I would like to extend to everyone our sincere St. Patrick's Day greetings and a warm welcome from the entire FitzPatrick family. If I may, I'd like to say a few words about my younger brother, David, who, as you know or may recall, created a bit of a stir last year in certain circles with his invitation list for the 2020 Almost Dinner, which included a certain newly inaugurated mayor of Scranton. Well, Dr. Brother President, you were saved by the devil COVID. Who would have thought that the solution to some long-held but now conflicting Friendly Sons traditions would be found by a global pandemic and provided in a virtual world right in front of us on our computer screens? In all honesty, I, for one, admired Dave's decision to invite Mayor Paige Cognetti to our almost dinner last year and the speed at which he made it, because quite simply, it was the right thing to do. Mayor Cognetti, I am certain that you would have been and are tonight received with courtesy and respect, which is as much a reflection of your graciousness and magnanimity as it is the hospitality and goodwill of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. There is a photo of Dave in Ireland at a lake in Killarney from the spring of 2019. He is standing in a small tour boat with the other passengers are all sitting waiting to embark on their tour. Dave is proudly displaying the oversized Friendly Sons presidential medallion around his neck. If he is trying to blend in as a native Irishman, I don't think it's working. The expressions on the other people's faces say it. Who is this guy and what is he doing? In reality, the other people in the boat most likely couldn't care less about Dave or his medal, but clearly Dave thinks it's all just wonderful. In truth, what is important to Dave is that the photo documents the medallion. This symbol of our society has in fact landed on Irish soil. That the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County medallion has been highlighted in a photograph to have physically touched the precious land of our ancestors may not be particularly important to you or me, but I assure you that it is extremely important to Dave. Why is that, you ask? Well, I have no clue, but let me explain. This is classic Dave. He is known in our family as the Truth, a label given to him by his kids for his keen ability to perceive the obvious and clearly explain, well, the truth. But in all sincerity, the guy we call the Truth has great situational awareness and a wonderful respect for traditions. And when there is no tradition, he starts one. He has an uncanny ability to appreciate the importance of present circumstances and, equally as important, their future ramifications. Dave rarely misses an opportunity to celebrate an occasion, really any occasion, especially if it means a chance to be with his many close friends and family. He is generally the last man standing at our late-night family gatherings. Dave is the first one to visit or call a family member, friend, coworker, or casual acquaintance to acknowledge an important event or to console a loss. He is also, more often than not, the last one to leave or hang up. I assure you, there has never been a president of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick who has been more diligent, more enthusiastic, and more prepared than my brother Dave. I suppose there was a time when Dave was known as my brother, but tonight I am clearly David FitzPatrick's brother. It's hard to believe that we are at the 115th edition of this gathering, like salmon swimming up the same river year after year to spawn. The spring ritual repeats itself. Go home, put on your monkey suit, as my dad called it, drive to Dixon City, and find your table. Like the salmon, we don't necessarily know why we come, we just do. Let's hope that we start spawning again in 2022, when my good friend Michael Cosgrove will serve as president. Cos, I know you will do an outstanding job, and thank you for all of your support and friendship over the last few years, but especially since we both showed up 47 years ago at our first Scranton Prep 9th grade basketball practice at the Watrous Armory in Scranton. We have been close friends ever since, and for that I am most thankful. My brothers and I started attending the Friendly Sons dinner with our father as early teenagers. Dad was very proud of his Irish heritage, and he was most proud of being an American of Irish descent. Not exclusively, but through this society, my father's values were apparent to his sons. Deep faith in God, devotion to family, relentless honesty, hard work, fierce loyalty to friends, self-sacrifice for the greater good, and love of America. I was taught that these common, cherished beliefs are the foundation to why we attend the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick gatherings, regardless of our ethnicity. They offer an opportunity for all of us to be reminded of the core values tightly held by our fathers. For me and my brothers, it included a few of our father's close friends who contributed to the shaping of our lives by their words, their laughter, and even by their tears, but most of all, by their actions and inactions. My brothers and I learned some of what these men believed, and we caught glimpses of how they lived their lives, the most honest teacher of all. Our very dear Jim Howley, along with Earl Holmes, Jim and Joe Haggerty, the Lineup brothers, Eddie, George, and Bill, Dave Harding, Pat Boland, Don Nolan, Governor Bob Casey, Judge William Nealon, Hank McGrath, and others all played a role in teaching my brothers and me why this society is relevant and, yes, important. The dinner on Monday, March 17th, 1986, was the last night that I ever spent with my father. Needless to say, the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick dinner holds a place very near and dear to my heart. Gentlemen and friends, we have quite an all-star lineup of speakers here tonight, so on good advice from a friend, I recognize that it would be best for me to proceed with an awareness that no one has ever left our Friendly Sons gatherings wishing that the Toastmaster had spoken longer. So with that, I would like to introduce our first guest speaker. Daniel Mulhall was born and raised in Waterford, Ireland, and holds bachelor's and master's degrees from the University College of Cork, with a focus on modern Irish history and literature. He became Ireland's 18th ambassador to the United States of America in August of 2017. Mr. Mulhall's diplomatic career began in 1978 when he joined Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs. His positions there included Director General for European Affairs, Secretariat of the Forum for Peace and Reconciliation, and Department Press Counselor, which was part of the delegation of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. In October of 2001, Mulhall was made ambassador to Malaysia, where he helped evacuate survivors during that region's 2004 tragic Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami disaster as part of the Irish emergency response. Prior to his U.S. appointment, Mr. Mulhall served as Ireland's ambassador to Germany and to Great Britain. Ambassador Mulhall is author of A New Day is Dawning, a portrait of Ireland in 1900, and co-editor of The Shaping of Modern Ireland, a centenary assessment. Ambassador Mulhall makes regular use of social media to promote all things Irish and to engage with Irish people and those of Irish descent around the world. He can be found on Twitter at Dan Mulhall and posts regular blogs on the embassy's website. Gentlemen, Friendly Sons, members of our virtual audience, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Ambassador to the United States of America from our beloved Ireland, Mr. Daniel Mulhall.
It is my pleasure and privilege to speak here this evening at the annual dinner of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County. I am delighted to be here this evening, albeit virtually, together with the President of the Friendly Sons, David FitzPatrick, with the Mayor of Scranton, Mayor Paige, Gebhardt, Cognetti, with the Most Reverend Joseph Bambera, and with the other podium members. It's in my time in the United States, I have had extraordinary experiences of traveling around this country and meeting communities of Irish descent all over this great country. And everywhere I go, I am uplifted by the existence of so many people who have an affection for Ireland, an affiliation with us, an affinity with our country, an admiration for Ireland and for our culture and our heritage. And I have to say that in my visit to Scranton at the invitation of Congressman Cartwright, I came across a community that was Irish American in ways that I hadn't experienced before. The intensity of the Irish American experience that I encountered in Scranton was, to my mind, greater than I'd seen anywhere else, experienced anywhere else in my travels around this country. I know that about 30% of the population of the Scranton area have an Irish heritage, and that is an extraordinary fact, and it just points to the deep Irish influence and Irish American influence on Lackawanna County. Indeed, I noticed when I was looking at the program for this evening's event, the program that was produced for last year's dinner, which unfortunately had to be postponed because of the COVID outbreak. I noticed that the person who suggested first that this annual dinner should be held in Scranton was Edward F. Blewett. And I know that he is the grandfather of President Joe Biden, a native of Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm sure that the people who are part of this evening's celebration will take great pride in the fact that a Scranton man has become the 46th President of the United States. We in Ireland take great pride in that as well, because we always think, we always admire and observe the achievements of the Irish abroad, and we take pride when those the sons of Ireland and daughters of Ireland achieve great things around the world. I want to pay tribute to the Friendly Sons for their contribution over the last century or more in preserving and promoting Irish heritage in the Scranton area. I want to thank them for the work they continue to do in connecting Ireland with Eastern Pennsylvania. When then Vice President Joe Biden traveled to Ireland in 2016, he wrote a letter in advance of his visit. And in that letter, he quoted the words of James Joyce, who, while he lived most of his life outside of Ireland, said that, "When I die, Dublin will be written on my heart." At that time, now President Biden wrote that when he came to pass on, that Eastern Pennsylvania would be written on his heart, but that Ireland would be written on his soul. And that, I think, was a powerful expression of the manner in which people of Irish heritage in the United States relate to the home of their ancestors, a country that their ancestors fled from in conditions of deprivation and destitution in the 19th century. But the sons and daughters and the grandsons and granddaughters and the great-grandsons and great-granddaughters and so forth, and on and on and on, of those Irish immigrants who came here to the United States with not much to offer but the sweat of their brow and their ability to work hard and to contribute hugely to this country. Those people have changed America, and they also changed Ireland, because they in their time, their children and grandchildren, contributed to the emergence of Ireland as an independent state 100 years ago. And today, the relationship between the United States and Ireland is as good, if not better, than it's ever been, based on ancestral ties, but also strong contemporary economic links. And I finish by paying renewed tribute to the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick and to the people of Lackawanna County for what they've done to connect Ireland with the United States of America. Gurmina Magav Galer, agus Canary Live, agus Banachtina Fela Div Galer.
James F. Cummings, MD, is president of ICON Government and Public Health Solutions Incorporated, a global clinical research organization providing clinical trials, rapid response to health crises, and functional services to government and commercial customers. Prior to joining ICON, Dr. Cummings served as Vice President of Clinical Development and Translational Medicine at Novavax Incorporated in Gaithersburg, Maryland, where he led vaccine and antibody development programs for emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. Retired Colonel Cummings enjoyed a 26-year career in the U.S. Army, most recently as Director of the Department of Defense's Global Emerging Infectious Diseases Surveillance and Response Systems. A graduate of the University of Scranton, he was a classmate of my brother Dave's. Dr. Cummings trained at Georgetown University's School of Medicine with internal medicine and infectious diseases fellowships at Walter Reed and the National Capital Consortium. He is a fellow in the American College of Physicians, the Infectious Diseases Society of America, and the American Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. Dr. Cummings has authored numerous scientific papers and book chapters and has served on several national committees and boards associated with infectious diseases, including InSpice, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving nutrition for children in low to middle income countries. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you a winner of the 2021 President's Award of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, Dr. James F. Cummings.
Thanks, Ward, and thank you, Mr. President, and to all my friendly sons. I'm honored and humbled by this President's Award. We're in new territory with the digital dinner this year, but even remotely, I can feel the warmth that would be in the room, that of friendship of all of you at home. Anything I've achieved, I've stood on the shoulders of giants to accomplish. People like my dad and my mom, my family and my friends, and my fellow friendly sons. May we never forget where we come from. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and thank you again.
Congratulations again, Dr. Cummings. Gerald P. Tracy, MD, is one of the most revered physicians in Pennsylvania. He is a professor of medicine at Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine and was named the 2017 recipient of the Pennsylvania Medical Society Distinguished Service Award. The award was first given in 1956 to Jonas E. Salk, MD. Since then, the Society has honored just 26 Pennsylvania physicians and 2 non-physicians. It is considered the highest award a member can receive from the statewide organization. Dr. Tracy is a graduate of the University of Scranton and the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. He completed his residency in internal medicine and a fellowship in cardiology at State University of New York Upstate Medical Center. He served as a flight surgeon in the U.S. Air Force, achieving the rank of captain. A founding member of the Medical Education Development Consortium in 2004, Dr. Tracy, along with others, foresaw a need in northeastern and north central Pennsylvania for a medical college. This grassroots effort led to the creation of the Commonwealth Medical College, now Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine. Dr. Tracy is a founding partner of Great Valley Cardiology, where in 1998 he welcomed a young cardiologist named David FitzPatrick to his group. Dr. Tracy is former director of cardiovascular diseases and president of medical staff at what was then Mercy Hospital in Scranton. Among his many professional affiliations include president of the Keystone chapter of the American Heart Association. As a proud graduate of the University of Scranton, Dr. Tracy served as president of its Alumni Society, was a member of its advisory council and board of trustees, having served as vice chairman and chairman. He is also founding president of the university's Medical Alumni Council. In addition to teaching at Geisinger Commonwealth, Dr. Tracy has served as a clinical associate professor of medicine at Temple University School of Medicine. It is an honor for me to introduce to you a 2021 President's Award winner of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, Dr. Gerald P. Tracy.
For over 100 years, we have met to celebrate the Feast of St. Patrick. and to honor the sacrifices and contributions of those who came before us. They came from Mayo, from Galway, from Cork, to the railroad yards and mines of Pennsylvania. They had never heard the word mentorship, but that is what they did. They sought out those who came before them from Ireland, and in turn provided assistance to those who came after us. We have continued that proud tradition in our own right. Mentorship is common in the field of medicine, and it's an integral part of medical training. Therefore, for those of us in the twilight of our professional careers, we take great satisfaction knowing that the care of future generations will be entrusted to outstanding physicians such as Doctors FitzPatrick and Cummings. Our ancestors from Mayo, from Galway, from Cork, would have expected nothing less from us.
Congratulations again, Dr. Tracy. Bishop Robert P. Reed was born in Boston to William and Jeannie Reed and grew up in Swampscott, Massachusetts. As fate would have it, two of our visiting guest speakers tonight, Bishop Reed and Coach Kelly, were only 2 class years apart at St. John's Prep School in Danvers, Mass., and no doubt passed each other in the hallways. Monsignor Quinn's response to that was, "And we thought that kind of thing only happened in Scranton." Bishop Reed prepared for the priesthood at St. John's Seminary in Brighton, Massachusetts, and the Pontifical North American College in Rome, where he received his degrees in theology from the Gregorian University and the Angelicum University. His ordination to the priesthood occurred July 6, 1985. In addition to several parish assignments, including 4 as pastor, Bishop Reed was asked in 1997 to undertake a completely different ministry, a career in broadcasting, for the Archdiocese of Boston. He received an advanced degree in television management from Boston University, and in 2005 was made director of Catholic TV. On June 3, 2016, Pope Francis appointed then Father Reed as Auxiliary Bishop of Boston. He was consecrated on August 24, 2016. Bishop Reed currently serves as Vicar General and Regional Bishop in the Archdiocese of Boston. Bishop Reed is also the current president of the Catholic TV Network and CEO of iCatholic Media Incorporated. Bishop Reed has been instrumental to the rebranding and expansion of the Catholic TV Network and its HD broadcast and production facility. CatholicTV.com is visited by over 18.5 million households across the nation and is available on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. In addition to being editor-at-large of Catholic Digest, Bishop Reed also hosts a weekly radio program and is author of numerous articles and the book Renewed, 10 Ways to Rediscover the Saints, Embrace Your Gifts, and Revive Your Catholic Faith. Gentlemen and members of our YouTube audience, it is my distinct privilege to introduce to you a most accomplished and very busy His Excellency, the Most Reverend Robert P. Reed, Auxiliary Bishop of the Archdiocese of Boston.
Friendly sons, great to be with you, even if it is in this virtual way. You know, Boston's favorite Irish band, the Dropkick Murphys, are in virtual concert today, so why not us? Happy St. Patrick's Day. My good friend and your longtime chaplain, Monsignor Quinn, sent me this book. It's impressive to see the greats who have addressed you since 1906. But to land Notre Dame's head coach is no small feat. So kudos to your president. By the way, you people talk funny. Up north, you know, a tree is, you know, an oak or a maple out in the backyard. But in Scranton, I've noticed it's a number between 2 and 4. And it took me 2-3 times before I figured that out. But really, who am I to talk? Just so that we all understand one another, allow me to give you a brief tutorial on Bostonese. First of all, a car is an automobile. Gas-powered, electric, it doesn't matter. Harvard is an Ivy League school with a big yard. And in Boston, so you know, wicked doesn't necessarily mean evil or bad. It's a superlative. For example, the University of Scranton, like Notre Dame, is a wicked good school. And far is a long, long way to go. So I say to you, as one who doesn't park his car far from Harvard Yard, it's wicked awesome to be here with you so far from Boston, even if it's on a computer. But since it's not a Friday in Lent, can you tell me where I can grab 2 tree hot dogs? You know, one wit and one without. Friendly sons, one and all, thanks for inviting this Boston bishop, a Scotsman, to reflect on another bishop, a saintly and courageous man who went by the name of Patrick, a name that Maewyn Succat took as a young priest. Now, whether young Maewyn banished snakes from Ireland, I do not know. If he used a 3-leaf shamrock to impart the doctrine of the Trinity to the pagan Irish, I can't say. If indeed it was he who combined pagan and Christian imagery into the Celtic cross, we might never know. But none of these things really matter all that much because, as a book oftentimes compares to its movie adaptation, the true story of Maewyn Succat is better than the myth. The Apostle of Ireland, who was born in 387, probably in Scotland. His parents were Calpurnius and Conchessa. They were Romans. And as a kid, at about 16, Maewyn was captured by pirates, which makes the story sound like a movie, and he was dragged off to Ireland to work as a slave herding sheep. So, apparently, the call to be a shepherd was in his blood. Escaping after 6 years of bondage, he went home, but returned decades later to the Emerald Isle as Patrick, priest and bishop. Armed with a mystic's faith, he converted the island to Christianity, abolished slavery and human sacrifice in the process. The Irish, of course, were barbarians. Not anymore. Well, maybe here in Boston, but never in Lackawanna County. What Patrick did with his life and his faith was bold, courageous, and civilizing. In a sense, he discovered and brought salvation to Ireland, but for no ulterior motive. Thomas Cahill, in his book, How the Irish Saved Civilization, wrote this of Patrick. The step he took was, in its way, as bold as Columbus, but 1,000 times more humane. My point is, Patrick was a real full-blooded Christian, and it is because of that we still celebrate him this day. So have fun. Please, have fun. Life is short. But take this feast seriously because it recalls a man, a priest, a bishop, but most of all, a disciple of Jesus Christ that deep down we all need to be. Our families, our parishes, our communities, your diocese, this great nation needs us to be such disciples. The Catholic faith, it's in the DNA of the Irish people, and it's embedded in the life of this great nation. The fact is, the mission of the church does not belong solely in this world or to any one period of time. My friends, we are the church, Christ's hands and mouthpiece. The mission he left us is otherworldly and eternal. Like many of you, I grew up in what I consider to be the golden age of Catholicism, perhaps the very last years of it. My parish school were like a second home. Not so much anymore. Religion has, in a sense, become just a component of our lives, another thing that we do, if we do it at all. But the example of Patrick should cause us to reconsider this foundational aspect of our lives. We must be defined by our baptism, known by our Catholicism, established before family, neighbors, and colleagues as icons of Jesus Christ. In my 5th grade classroom, Mr. Quietek, with whom I'm still friendly, he wrote one day on the board the word Christian, and he put a slash after Christ, a slash after the letter I, and then he turned the last letter into an M, and spinning around, he said, with great solemnity, boys and girls, this is what it means to be a Christian. Christ I am. Funny how you remember moments like that. But this is who we are. And we need to be ready to act with integrity. There was an Irishman walking down the street in Dublin wearing a coat that he hadn't had on in many years, and he reached in the pocket and he found a crumpled up receipt. It was for a pair of shoes that he left at the cobbler many years ago. He said to himself, I'm going to try to get those shoes. So he went to the cobbler, presented the receipt. The cobbler took one look at it, went in the back room, and it came out about a minute later. The man said to him, so do you have the shoes? And the cobbler said, aye, they'll be ready in about a week. We need to be ready on a moment's notice to be another Christ, as St. Patrick was, as he taught us in his famous breastplate. Christ be beside me. Christ be before me. Christ be behind me, King of my heart. Christ be within me, below me, above me, never to part. Christ on my right and left, all around me. Christ in my sleeping, my sitting, my rising. Shield in my life, light in my strife. St. Patrick of Scotland and Ireland, look kindly on your friendly sons and pray for us. Happy St. Paddy's Day, everyone. And thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Bishop Reed. That was wonderful. At this time, I'd like to reintroduce Shawn Klush for his version of Danny Boy.
Thank you, Dr. FitzPatrick. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's ago and all the roses dying. 'Tis you must go and I must spy. But call me back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow, and I'll be here in sunshine, oh, in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But if you come and all the roses dying, I am dead, as dead I will maybe. You'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave and I shall feel so soft you trail above me, and then my grave will richer, sweeter be. For you will paint and tell me that you love me, and I shall rest in peace until you come to
At this time, we're going to check in with Brian Holmes and his family in Clark Summit and see how their St. Patrick's Day is coming along. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Ward. How you doing, buddy?
It's good to see you. Tell us who you have there.
So, listen, I have my brother Kev, I have my son Brady, and my buddy Charlie Doherty. Thanks for having us.
Well, it's good to see you. Tell us a little bit about your dad and his connection with Notre Dame and some of the history with the Friendly Sons.
Yes, so listen, we obviously bleed blue and gold. Our father was a graduate of Notre Dame back in 1953. My brother Pat, graduate as well, and also works out there. So listen, man, the relationship with Notre Dame started actually with our grandfather back in the day too. So it goes back a long way, man, and it's obviously carried on to the next generation of some Holmeses that have graduated from there, and hopefully maybe a couple more that might go there in the future.
Well, it's good to see you, and enjoy your evening, and it was fun checking in with you. Happy
Thanks,
St.
buddy.
Patrick's
And listen,
Day.
just
Thanks, Ward.
Just a little cheers to as Kevin and I were talking about, to my dad and your pop. That relationship goes back a long way as well, man, with the Friendly Sons and our families. So, Sláinte.
Sláinte. Thank you, Holmes family. I wish I was there with you. Now I'm going to bring you out to South Bend, Indiana, a place you all are very familiar with. Brian Kelly was born in Everett, Massachusetts, and raised in an Irish Catholic family in Chelsea. He attended St. John's Prep High School in Danvers and is a 1983 graduate from Assumption College in Worcester, Mass., with a degree in political science. At Assumption, Brian Kelly's love of football escalated as a 4-year letterman at linebacker and team captain in both his junior and senior years. His college friend Dave Conroy said Brian was always the organizer and the leader, whatever the situation or circumstances. He was always more mature and in control. Brian was a dormitory RA and also held a job on the campus security staff. Brian began his football coaching career at Assumption College as a graduate assistant, but that was not his first coaching job or even his first college coaching job at Assumption. While a student, he was asked by the AD to coach the women's softball team. He did so for 5 seasons. Think about that, a college student coaching a college team in any sport, unheard of. The AD certainly saw something special in this Kelly kid. Brian's father, Paul Kelly, a Boston alderman, had political aspirations for his son. Brian worked on Gary Hart's presidential campaign while in school, but young Brian also had other ideas, other ambitions, and different dreams. From Assumption, Coach Kelly went on to Grand Valley State University in Allendale, Michigan as a graduate assistant, where he had the good fortune to meet his future wife, Pocky. There, in 1991, he took over as head coach and went on to win 2 consecutive Division II national championships in '02 and '03. In his final 3 seasons at Grand Valley State, Coach Kelly's teams were an amazing 41-2 and at one point won 20 consecutive games. Not surprisingly, he was the American Football Coaches Association Division II Coach of the Year in both '02 and '03. As Ross Perot may have said, Coach Kelly was off the porch. In 2006, he was named head coach at the University of Cincinnati, and in his first season, his team went 10-3, and he was named Big East Conference Coach of the Year. In his second season, the Bearcats won their first Big East championship, and in his third and final season at Cincinnati, they finished undefeated at 12-0, and Coach Kelly was named AFCA Division I Coach of the Year, the one that matters most, because voting is among coaching peers. Not only was Coach Kelly off the porch, he was running with the big dogs. That December 2009, he was named head football coach at the University of Notre Dame, replacing Charlie Weiss. Coach Kelly has just finished his 11th extremely memorable season at Notre Dame, where his team went undefeated in the Atlantic Coast Conference, a big first for Notre Dame to be in any conference, and 10-2 overall with bittersweet season-ending losses in the ACC championship game to Clemson and to Alabama in the college football playoff. Coach Kelly was voted ACC Coach of the Year, and 12 of his players received all ACC honors. Coach Kelly is the only 3-time winner of the Home Depot National Coach of the Year award. He is the second all-time winningest head football coach at the University of Notre Dame, with 102 career wins, only 3 behind the legendary Nuke Rockne. Finally, what you may not know about Brian Kelly is that he and Pocky, a 2-time cancer survivor, created the Kelly Cares Foundation in 2008. Since its beginning, the foundation has donated over $5 million in support of causes focused on wellness and education locally, nationally, and globally. Coach Kelly and Pocky have 3 children, Patrick, Grace, and Kenzel. Coach, notwithstanding Northeastern Pennsylvania's extreme devotion to another iconic football program in a place we call Happy Valley, I am certain that in this virtual room tonight, you will find yourself in very friendly territory. Though you may not see or hear them, I have no doubt that you are about to receive tremendous expressions of welcome and appreciation that hopefully can be delivered in person sometime in the future. Gentlemen, friendly sons, and to our YouTube audience, it is my extreme honor to introduce to you the Dick Corbett head football coach at the University of Notre Dame, Brian Kelly.
Friends, guests, and the friendly sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County. This event has been a long time coming, and it's an honor to gather with you virtually to celebrate the incredible accomplishments of this group. Thank you to the friendly sons and President David FitzPatrick for extending the invitation to me. We have quite the lineup for this program, and I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize our honorees and guests. Bishop Robert Reed, a fellow native son of Boston, has touched countless lives through the evangelization of the Catholic TV network and Catholic Digest. His ability to share the faith, coupled with his advanced education and knowledge, is a great achievement. However, perhaps there is no greater achievement than him being a fellow alum of mine at St. John's Prep. Go Eagles! His Excellency Daniel Mulhall, Ambassador of Ireland to the United States, needs little introduction. He has had a hand in a range of political and diplomatic endeavors, shaping Ireland's history, as well as its relationships with nations across the world. I often see myself as an ambassador for the Irish, but I guess I can give up that title to the man who does it worldwide. Bishop Joseph Bambera, of the Diocese of Scranton has cultivated a life of service to the church, not the least of which comes from his extensive efforts with the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Finally, the Presidential Award recipients, Dr. James Cummings and Dr. Gerald Tracy. Dr. Cummings' leadership in clinical research and trials is more important now than ever. In addition to the ever-present need, ICON government and public health solutions serves to respond to global health crises. Dr. Tracy has spent his professional career educating future doctors and serving countless patients of his own. It is due to experts like Dr. Cummings and Dr. Tracy that we are able to fight and persevere through this pandemic. And even outside of our current situation, their efforts throughout their lives are a model in serving our communities and our country. I extend my admiration and appreciation to my fellow guests and speakers, and I'm honored that my experience might be of interest to a distinguished group such as this one tonight. It's no secret the rich tradition of the Friendly Sons, and we at Notre Dame football are lucky that a group like this has been a strong supporter of our program. I myself am a proud Irish American. I grew up just outside of Boston, and my parents worked hard to raise me and my 3 siblings and give us a great life. Growing up, I watched how my father, Paul, who was a city alderman, balanced his working life and political pursuits and the responsibilities of being a father. He'd wake up early to take me to hockey workouts. I wasn't that good, but he did, before the sun was up, and never missed one of my games. My dad taught me to never start something unless I finished it. It's this attitude, this affinity for hard work, and the pride that comes with it that continues to drive me today. I hope that I have passed that on to my own children, and obviously to our student athletes. After attending St. John's Prep, I continued on to Assumption University. When I arrived at Assumption in 1979, the football program was relatively new, and our team had to take ownership of our own identity. So new, we had club status. And playing at Assumption taught me that success and pride doesn't come easy. It takes time, effort, sweat, and I'm just not talking about lifting or long practices. There was actually time when we had to paint the lines on the field before each game. Assumption helped me create lifelong friendships and people who played football simply for the love of the game. We didn't set out for the recognition or status. My teammates are still among my closest friends today, and that bond that we shared working to create something very special. Throughout my coaching career, I continue to see the importance of grit, along with how imperative a good support system is to your ultimate success. My wife, Pocky, and I have been fortunate enough to work in our communities for causes that are important to us. Pocky is a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and we created the Kelly Cares Foundation to help other families in their fights against breast cancer. We aim to provide resources to improve health and education while also inspiring hope. We are blessed by the many volunteers, friends, family members, and neighbors who have helped us in this mission. Since we started the foundation in 2008, the foundation has donated more than $5 million to support the cause on multiple fronts, and it would not be possible without the support of those around us. Coaching young men has been my professional pursuit, and after been coaching for over 31 years, this season was, more difficult than others. The challenges facing us in this time can seem daunting. At the very least, we have to work harder to even hope to achieve the feats we did previously. The coronavirus pandemic has left us with so much loss of life, loss of resources and finances, and sometimes even the connections. The fight for racial justice in our country has really turned a new leaf, a difficult one. We cannot ignore the inequalities that our brothers and sisters of color face each day, nor can we ignore our responsibility changing that. I saw how deeply this issue affected our players. Our country is lauded as a safe haven, a welcome place for a host of cultures and experiences. When so many of our Irish ancestors made the treacherous journey to the United States, they hoped for the same thing. And history tells us that they did not find it right away. However, now we gather as a group of proud Irish descendants in a country that celebrates us. While our ancestors' experience cannot be equated to that of Black Americans, It is our responsibility to continue that work for others. In the uncertainty and growing pains of this time, I find hope in many instances throughout this past football season. Our doctors and athletic trainers work tirelessly to keep us safe and manage at times what seemed to be an unmanageable pandemic. Our student athletes use their voices to speak up against racial discrimination in our country, not only voicing their concerns, but taking action to create real change. And on the field, there may not have been a team that was more about each other, the brotherhood, than this one. A trip to the college football playoffs is the goal of every team, and to reach that feat twice in 3 seasons is not a testament to luck. It's a testament to the individual who set aside their own self-interest and worked for the good of the team. In that togetherness, we rose to the top and did our part to continue the storied tradition of Notre Dame football. We beat a #1 ranked opponent at home in TV's highest-rated college football game of 2020. In our first season as a conference member, we made it to the ACC championship. In the past 4 seasons, our program is 43-8, and Notre Dame is one of just 5 teams who have made playoff appearances in multiple seasons. For our student athletes, it wasn't about the stats or the awards. It was about the guy next to them. It was about winning as a team. It was immensely prideful for them to sacrifice for each other. As I told them, while our season didn't end the way it wanted to, we're all better for the 6 months we spent together. This leads me to the next season. I'm excited for 2021 and confident in our team, not only because of their success on the field, but their attitudes and maturity when they're off it. We continue to have a group of student athletes who care about honing their craft as football players, but also working hard to become the men they inspire to be. My staff and I focus on developing these traits, which boil down to these 5 traits: attention to detail, laser focus, attitude, smart, and grit. Just as my father taught me the value of hard work and taking care of your business, so must we aim to educate our student athletes in a similar way. We have many veteran players who have grown immensely as their time has progressed at Notre Dame. And in January, we welcomed a group of early enrollee freshmen to start their journeys with us. Come this summer, we'll have the whole team together to start chasing that goal again. In the end, our goal is twofold: graduate and earn a degree from the University of Notre Dame and win a national championship. Our pursuit of graduating champions never changes from year to year, and neither do our values. I am thrilled to be surrounded by coaches who are highly talented and want the best for our players. We welcome Marcus Freeman to our staff as the new defensive coordinator, and he joins offensive coordinator Tommy Reese, associate head coach Brian Polian, recruiting coordinator Mike Elston, and the rest of our staff in educating and developing our student athletes. Through all my experiences, I have benefited both from the value of hard work instilled in me and from the great support of communities along the way. Responsibility to others is a tenet I will continue to make a priority with our student athletes and with myself. We can all be reminded to take care of one another and work for others and for that good. Again, I am honored to be with you today to celebrate the achievements of all of our guests this evening. God bless, and go Irish.
Thank you, Coach Kelly. That was terrific. It was really wonderful to have you with us here tonight. As my last official duty as president, it is with great pride and significant relief that I now call on our Vice President, Attorney Michael Cosgrove, to the podium for the investiture as president. Attorney Michael F. Cosgrove is a graduate of Scranton Preparatory School, the University of Scranton, and Widener University Delaware School of Law. He served as a law clerk for past Friendly Sons president, the late Judge James J. Walsh. He has practiced law in Scranton for 35 years. He is a partner in the Scranton firm of Hegarty, Hinton, and Cosgrove. He is president-elect of the Lackawanna Bar Association. Mike has served on multiple youth sport and community committees. He was raised in West Scranton and is one of 7 children of the late Edward and Joan Murphy Cosgrove. He has been a member of the Friendly Sons for 36 years. His father was a Toastmaster for Governor Robert Casey in 1977 and his brother John was Toastmaster for President Timothy Pryall in 2012. He is married 35 years to Tish Doyle Cosgrove. They have 4 children, Michael, Maggie, Sarah, and Patrick. They reside in Dunmore and are members of St. Paul's Parish. Gentlemen and friends, please welcome to the podium my friend, the president of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, Attorney Michael F. Cosgrove. Here we go, my friend.
Okay.
The weight is
Looks
lifted.
nice and heavy.
It is heavy.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Mike. Congratulations.
And for you, David, I have something for you.
Oh, boy.
The President's plaque that reads 115th President, 2020 and 2021. Presented to W. David FitzPatrick, MD, Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County, St. Patrick's Day 2021.
Terrific.
And together with the President's pin that you'll be able to wear with pride forever.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for a great job.
Thanks, Mike, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dave. And thank you for a fantastic celebration under the most difficult of circumstances. You are a credit to the society, to your wife, Mary, and the kids, your wonderful mom, and I know your dad would be beyond proud of you and Ward for the great job tonight. David and I have a deep personal connection to this historic dinner. The 1986 dinner would be the last for both of our dads, as Dave's dad passed away shortly after attending the dinner, and my dad, who served as a song leader that night, passed away from cancer in August of '86. I know both would be proud to see us 35 years later as successive presidents of this great society. It's truly an honor to be elected to serve all of you and this historic organization. As your president for the 116th Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, hopefully live dinner in 2022. I would like to first start by thanking the past presidents and electors for giving me the privilege to serve one of the longest tenures as vice president in the history of the Friendly Sons. I was starting to worry my election in 2019 was somehow stolen. But my own family has always held the Friendly Sons and its unmatched tradition in high esteem. I remember as a little kid listening to the dinners on the radio with my mom, Joanne, and brothers, Eddie, John, and Jim, and sisters, Lala, Bertie, and Katie. And our family was honored to be a small part of some of the past dinners in various ways. My late grandfather served a number of dinners as the Society's song leader, the first being over 100 years ago in 1920. My father, the late Edward T. Cosgrove Jr., also carried on the family tradition as song leader at a number of dinners and was very honored to serve as Toastmaster for Governor Robert P. Casey at the 72nd dinner in 1977. 10 years later, my first year out of law school, thanks to my good friend, attorney Mickey McDonald, I was lucky enough to secure my own Friendly Sons table, and I attended every dinner since then at that table with my sons, Mike and Patrick, my brothers, Ed, John, and Jim, and many lifelong close friends, including Brian Swift, Brian Corbett, Bill Donnelly, Carrie Carney, Miles McElhenney, and many others. The Cosgrove family, together with our very close friends, the Brown family, and many of our friends, have had numerous enjoyable annual pre-Friendly Sons dinner gatherings over the years, most recently at Gal's house. And we were always very grateful every year for all the preparations for those parties, volunteered by my wife Tish, our beloved Meg, Colleen, Mary Joyce, Maggie, Sarah, Mary, and many others. In 2012, 35 years to the day that my dad served as Toastmaster for Governor Casey, my brother John served as Toastmaster for President Tim Pryall at the 107th dinner. My cousin Gene Cosgrove was the Society's president in 1997. Cousin Peter Cosgrove served in the past as treasurer, and in 2013, President John Walker awarded the Society's prestigious President's Award to our cousin William Buddy Cosgrove, who tomorrow will be turning 92. And in 2018, I was fortunate enough to be elected the Society's Assistant Treasurer. So you can imagine from all of this history that I am extremely honored and extremely humbled to serve as the president for the 2022 dinner. I want to thank in advance my beautiful wife Tish and our kids Michael, Maggie, Sarah, and Patrick for their love and patience. and also my law partners, Tim Hinton and Joe Haggerty, for their support. I am still in disbelief of this honor. And as I have said before, and to quote our favorite native son, President Biden, if you're lucky enough to be Irish, you're lucky enough. Thank you, and hope to see you all in person next year. Now it is already time for our concluding benediction. The program seemed to move along quickly this year. Of course, it helped that Ward didn't have to keep warning the Haggerty table all night to keep quiet down. The benediction will be led by Father John LaPera, the current pastor of David's home parish, the Church of St. Gregory in Clark's Green. Father LaPera is a native of Carbondale and has served our diocese honorably since 1984 in numerous very important roles, including as pastor for 11 years at St. Joseph's in Minooka, where I'm sure he learned firsthand the plight of the Irish people. He was actually my family's pastor for years at St. Joe's when we resided in Glenmar, or as Mayor Jimmy Connors calls it, Upper Minooka. Father LaPera graduated from the University of Scranton and the Catholic University of America's Theological College, and presently he serves on the Board of Trustees at Marywood University. It is my true honor to welcome Father John LaPera.
Loving God, we pray to you as a people who cherish all the memories of the Friendly Sons and who claim a common history as your sacred gift. We ask you to renew your grace in us and our loved ones, that we might recognize your presence in our midst and respond with compassion to the human needs that surround us. We ask for understanding and insight to grasp the complexity of the situations we face here and now. Do not let fear, ignorance, or pride limit the action of your Spirit. Enable us to be contagious in our love for you and eager to be among your people as ones who serve. Good and gracious God, thank you for this wonderful evening. We anxiously await your tomorrow. Amen.
Thank you, Holmesies. All right. Brian, it's great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks.